Hokey religions and ancient weapons. Hokey religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side.
Welcome to Hokey Religion, the Star Wars podcast. This episode, we are pretty much only talking about Galaxy's Edge again, but this time with actual information. This is Tyler.
This is Michael.
Welcome to episode 91.
91. We got a lot to talk about today.
Oh, yeah.
A big old dump was laid on us in the middle of the week.
Speaking of big old dumps, that was a good one.
Just now?
No. The
Okay.
Galaxy's Edge dump was fantastic.
A lot of information. This is the kind of information we want about everything Star Wars.
Right. Yeah, they
These-
could just do this more often. It'd be great.
It's basically like a big Q&A almost.
Yeah.
So what happened was they out in Disneyland, because construction is almost finished out there.
Mhm.
They're still going for June. Do they have a specific day out there yet? I can't remember. I know it's summer,
Yeah, I
of
don't think they've given like
2019.
an actual hard date yet.
but it's within a couple months of opening out there. So they had Disney had a handful of publications out there and basically gave them a big tour.
Yeah.
A lot of little meetings where they showed off footage of rides. They showed off examples of food and merchandise and concept art that we haven't seen yet, and just
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff. And then they actually got to walk around some of the construction a bit.
Look at some of the ride queues and stuff like that.
Yeah, in person, including the Millennium Falcon, which is
Yeah,
complete
there's
out there.
So much to talk about all
Yeah.
of these things.
Yeah, so I mean, let's get into it. This is a rare thing where we don't even we don't have to BS at all to fill time.
Shut up! There's no time for bullshit. Oh man. Yeah. So
Where do we start?
of course, if you've
Let
for
me
some
say
reason-
before we get into this,
yes,
reading this
Uh,
was just it's mind blowing.
yeah,
What
it was
the plans
a
that they
sexual
have.
experience reading any of these articles. Like Gizmodo had a really good basically like 27 things like countdown of all the stuff they saw about Galaxy's Edge, and just every article I've read about it, it's been just this magical experience of
Yeah.
holy shit, this is a real thing that I will get to go to at some point.
Right, because the things that they were showing were like, this is what we're doing. This is
Yeah, this is
this
the
is what we've
stuff.
decided
Like
on.
here are the beverages we're going to serve. Here is the food. Like they had pictures of the food that's going to be served.
Right.
The merchandise that are going to be sold in some of the stores, and like this is it. We're like it's like pretty finalized, and it has to be because the construction's almost done, and they've got what, another 5 months or 4 months until it opens.
For here, probably, but yeah, a handful of months for
Ah,
out there for California. I didn't realize this is a 14-acre park.
yeah, it's giant.
I mean, they were describing it in some of these articles as a small city. That
Yeah.
these expansions
I mean,
are.
it's the biggest expansion Disney's either park I think has ever had, right?
Right.
Other than whole parks for Disney World.
Right. And
Um,
I kept having that picture of, I mean, we talked about it in a previous episode, but this picture of Toy Story Land out here in Hollywood Studios, like it's a very small expansion.
Right.
I mean, it's just a little corner of the park. And I kept thinking, we're going to have 2 rides that we know of that was confirmed before. So, I mean, technically you could have a tiny area like that, but this is a whole thing. This is huge.
Right.
Way bigger than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, Hollywood Studios as a park. I'm trying to find out how big it is. I think
It's not
it's 135 acres. It's a pretty big park, but it is. I mean, it's not packed like Disney, like Magic Kingdom is.
it
um,
will be.
It will be. But I mean, just like ride density and attraction density, Hollywood Studios is definitely one of the more spread out experiences.
A bit. I mean, not compared to like Animal Kingdom or, it's one of the
Right.
smaller parks, I would say, because I think even Epcot is bigger than that.
Well, it's bigger than Magic Kingdom, but the density at Magic Kingdom's nuts. Just the density of stuff.
It's bigger than Magic Kingdom?
Magic Kingdom is only 107 acres.
Really?
Yeah, but you got to think about Hollywood.
Interesting.
Like we're talking about stuff that no one cares about. Hollywood Studios has that whole middle part with the lake and like the dinosaur ice cream shop, and then you've got all the open area over by Indiana
Oh.
Jones, and there's just like a lot of just space that's not used, which is kind of nice.
I
But
guess
unlike
so.
Magic Kingdom, where it's like every other door is a ride.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's true.
Yeah, whereas Epcot is 300 acres and Animal Kingdom's 580. Makes sense for Animal Kingdom because, you know, there's animals there. They need space. They're not riding the rides.
There's
yet.
about to be a bunch of animals in this park.
And I'm one of them. Back to
I'm an
you.
animal.
Yeah, so this
Cage
14...
me.
No, I want to ride the rides.
All right, so
Yeah.
timeline. I don't know if we've talked about this before, but timeline for this park. This park is set in a specific time,
Period.
and
Yeah.
some of the things that they were talking about were, you know, we've chosen. I'm paraphrasing here, but they chose a specific time for this park, but it was intended in a way to be used in a way where if other events take place in Star Wars canon, so
Right.
other media, it can be incorporated into this park. So as our timeline, as we advance in the timeline
Yeah.
or go back or
So
whatever,
what they've basically done is they're setting this in the time period we are as fans with the films.
yes,
Where, like, when this opens, 9 hasn't happened yet, and it won't have happened yet.
right.
But when 9 happens, if there's something they want to incorporate into the park, they will and can.
Exactly. So going
at
into
some
this
point.
park, this is so exciting. Going into this park, you're stepping into the
Right now.
world. So as
We're stepping
events
into right now for us in
Right.
fandom.
So as events happen in Star Wars,
Mhm.
we're going to see the effects of those events
Right.
in this park, which is it's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean,
And it's cool to go like do the Star Tours ride, and especially when it was older and didn't have the newer stuff, and it was like, it's the old Star Wars. But this is like, no, this is right now.
right.
This just happened.
Right.
And then when something else happens, it may then appear in the park. If there's something in Episode 9 that's really cool or really affecting,
Right.
it could be a part now of the park or any other stuff going forward, like with Resistance.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Yeah, so we were told it was set after Force Awakens, but not exactly
Right.
when. So it has to be after Last Jedi, in between Last Jedi and Episode 9. But I mean, there are actual characters, you know,
Right.
like Finn and Poe and Rey are all going to be
They're all part of the Rise of the Resistance ride, I
Yeah.
think.
BB-8.
Right. And then the Smuggler's Run, I think that's just Hondo.
Hondo,
Right.
yeah. Which we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But so there's a specific First Order garrison set on Black Spire Outpost, which is this outpost that we're in on Batuu. This is it was hinted at in a couple of these articles. It was hinted at that this is going to be a garrison that we either get reference to or we actually see in Episode 9.
Right.
So we might actually end up seeing some of the elements when we get into the park in Episode 9 or have reference to them or something like that.
Yeah, there's been rumors of red stormtroopers. Obviously, we've seen one in Star Wars Resistance.
Yeah.
We have Captain Von Reg, I think his name is, not Major Von Reg.
The red guy?
Who's the red trooper
Yeah.
in Resistance.
Right.
And there's been rumors of other red stormtroopers possibly going to be in 9, but now we have this garrison, what you're referring to, that's the 709th Red Fury.
Yeah.
Which I can only assume is going to be partial red stormtroopers, probably not all of them red stormtroopers, but some kind of, I think they're rumored to be some kind of like higher tier stormtrooper.
Right. So this is, like you were saying earlier, this is like the equivalent of the 501st.
Yeah.
Is what it sounds like.
Like the Death Troopers or the 501st. It's basically the sequel trilogy's version of that.
Right. And what we're being told is this garrison, it was specifically sent to Batuu for a reason. They're here for something.
Looking for something or someone, one of the Imagineers said.
And there's a reason both the First Order and the Resistance have a presence on Batuu, specifically in Black Spire Outpost.
Right.
In the canon. There's something something or someone that they were sent to retrieve.
Right.
Or to be involved in.
And we may find out some of that with the upcoming book we're going to get from Delilah Dawson about Black Spire.
Right.
You never know.
Right. There's a handful of.
But in some of the stuff we're going to get into, there's definitely a story to Black Spire that you get involved in with going to the park. Like they've talked about before about having your own personal story with riding the rides and how it will affect your story. But there's stuff they're doing with the with their app on the phone that definitely gives more immersion into the storyline of Black Spire and you being at the park as a person in
Right.
that universe.
There were references made to things in the app, but like the app kind of being an AR sort of experience, kind of like an Ingress or Pokemon Go in a sense.
Yeah, so like everyone's involvement in it will affect other things, and it will affect the story on the
Right.
app.
kind of this crowdsourced
your
thing
phone's going
where
to basically turn into a data pad.
yeah, kind of this crowdsourced thing where events happen and go out to everybody that's using the app, and you can react in however way you want.
Right.
You can communicate with characters in the story. You can
It's talking about like translating stuff or hacking droids, getting decryption keys.
right. So this is stuff around the park that you're going to be able to interact with through this app.
And for people that maybe you've never been to Disney World, I mean, this is something they've been doing at most of the parks for a while. There's some version of something like this. Epcot had a thing with it used to be Kim Possible a long time ago. I think it's that platypus guy now. I can't remember who it is. Where it's like you would get the special like cell phone thing and go around the park and find these clues, and it would actually animate something when it recognized you were in the area and found the clue.
Yeah.
It would like animate this wall that was actually a screen, and something would happen. They have a battle card game at Magic Kingdom that you can do, that stuff that doesn't look like a screen is a screen, and you have to like fight these villains by showing these cards to some hidden camera, and it recognizes what character you're using to battle this villain. Which it's actually really super fun.
Yeah.
So they've done versions of this throughout all of their parks. And I don't think Hollywood Studios had one yet, but this sounds like a much more involved and up to date version of what they've been trying to accomplish with these games at other parks.
Right. Or it's at the very least it's built into the experience of the park. Like it was intended as as another attraction.
Yeah.
Almost like a third ride in a way.
And it's smart to include it on the app, because at the other parks, it's not. You have to go out of your way to get the cards for the Magic Kingdom thing, or to get the fake cell phone thing for that one that was at Epcot.
Right.
But if this is just straight up included, you can or cannot be involved whenever you want to be.
Right. So there's a component of it that's even that works outside of the park too.
Yeah.
So it's not. I mean, a lot of it is location based, but still.
And so it ties to your account. So when you come back, you continue working on whatever you're doing, type thing, which is really fun.
Yeah, the total immersion thing is something they're really taking seriously based on everything that's coming out of this. It's crazy.
And I mean, so this whole data dump that happened, I mean, so like it was, what was it, the day before? So they had this press thing that, we at least didn't know what was going to happen. I think it was the day before or 2 days before they had released all of the costumes for the workers, for the people that are going to be working in the park.
Was that at the same time?
I think it was like the day before. It's a bunch of pictures released and information released about the costumes they're going to be wearing, and we got excited about that, not even knowing what was coming. But that just at that level, it started to get into the immersion of, they had all these various possible costumes. Of course, there's first order costumes, which are pretty strict costumes, right? Mm-hmm. And there's specific ride worker costumes that kind of have to stay the same for specific rides to be designated for that area. But all the other workers in the rest of the areas of the park have basically options of multiple costume pieces and are allowed to mix and match however they want to make their own personalized, unique costume.
Right, with the goal being, and this was something else they were told, the goal being to kind of personalize who they are in the universe.
Right.
Like they actually have a story. They were told to create themselves a story and a connection to things in the universe, so they can RPG as their job.
I wouldn't do a job. I wouldn't work. I wouldn't actually do my job Disney wanted me to do if that was my job.
So yeah, there's limits. Like I think one of the articles said, like, no, you can't be Han's second cousin or
right.
stuff like that. There are limits to that, but still, they're encouraged to become people on that, are in universe on this outpost, that have a life here, that have a history here.
And even just that personalization of mixing and matching the costume pieces isn't something Disney does anywhere else, because it needs to be obvious who is a worker. But just for the experience of this park, they need to be. No one needs to look the same as the next person you meet or
Right.
see.
Right.
Except for, of course, you have to kind of have people that work at the rides look like the people that work at the rides.
Sure. I mean, yeah,
Um,
there's some fourth wall breaking there, but for the most part, they're really going for like no clear Disney or Star Wars branding anywhere in here.
Yeah.
Like even down to the merchandise.
Yeah, nothing's going to say Disney or Star Wars.
You won't be able to go in and buy a shirt
Their
that
name
says Star Wars
tags,
on
the people that the workers still have to have name tags, but it has it in
Arabesh.
basic, and then also has it in Arabesh,
Right.
and it also says Black Spire and Arabesh on it as well.
Yeah.
Which obviously you need to know people work there,
Right,
not just
there's-
like cosplayers.
There's still a
You have
reality
to
that
have
this is a
some-
theme
yeah,
park.
right. But just like it doesn't say Star Wars anywhere on their name tag. It doesn't say Disney anywhere on their name tag, which at any other park the name tags always say Disney
Right.
World on them.
And think about even going to the Harry Potter land. I mean, like you can buy Harry Potter quote unquote merchandise.
But none of the workers look like they should be in Hogwarts or in
Well, that's what I'm saying. You can
what's that? Hog's Face. I almost said Hamtown. I couldn't remember, so I was just gonna say Hamtown. It's Hog's Face, right?
No, I don't think they
Hogsmeade.
belong.
Hogsmeade?
Yeah, there you go.
Hog's Face, Hogsmeade, Hamtown. I don't care. It's the one with the pig.
Let's go to Hamtown, Harry.
But I can't. I'm on restrictions.
My knees are buckled. That's something they say over there. Right?
I'm sure.
You're on restriction. Which
Yeah.
is,
Well, he couldn't go to Pigface.
To
What was
Hamtown?
okay? Because he didn't have parents to sign off, and his
Oh, no.
his shitty uncle
Oh.
wouldn't sign the paper. That's right, right? He couldn't go that one time. So
are you talking about Hogwarts? Did you say
No.
Hamtown instead of Hogwarts?
No,
Oh.
is it Hogsmeade?
Hogsmeade is the village.
Why is everything hog?
I don't know.
I never thought about that until right now. What was the why?
You got Hogsmeade. You got Hogwarts.
Hog's Face.
Hogsmeade.
You have Hamtown.
Hamtown. Everything's
She was really
hog-based.
hungry when she wrote these books. I can only assume. That first book, it was just all ham, and she just wanted a sandwich, and then she just had to go with the names for the other, 6 books.
Fuck, I'm stuck now.
Well, I guess they're going to Hamtown again. Anyways, yes, the people that work in Hogsmeade look like people that work at Universal. They don't
You're
look.
right.
They don't look like
That's my point.
someone that should exist in the wizarding world.
That's my point. Like
Yeah.
they go to some lengths to be immersive over there. But yeah, you've got the workers who look like they work at Universal, and then you've got just general Harry Potter merchandise there. It's not like
Right.
merchandise like you've got the wands and stuff, but
All branded. Yeah.
right. But still, you can go in and buy, a shirt that says Harry Potter on it. It's
Right.
like
And
it
you
breaks
can buy
that
you can
fourth
buy
wall.
Harry Potter's wand and Hermione Granger's wand.
Yeah, exactly.
The personalized stuff because it's
right.
it's like that.
And we'll get to this
And
in
when
a
we get
second.
into this, there's nothing like that at this park.
Well, yeah. So
To
we'll get
an
in.
extent.
We've got a whole list of shops
Yeah,
and stuff
alright.
that we're going to go through, but let's go. Let's
Let's
do the
do it.
rides first.
Right.
We'll talk about the rides. Let's start with Rise of the Resistance.
I see the notes. You keep thinking of it as Ride of the Resistance.
Yes, it's the Ride of the Resistance. That's all I'm going to call it.
it's Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
Yeah, right.
Mr. Poe's Wild Ride of the Resistance. The Resistance.
All right,
Oh.
that's the episode title.
Mr.
Mr.
Poe's Wild
Poe's
Ride.
Wild Ride,
Got it. That's definitely the title now. Oh yeah.
So I put some in here. I guess we could start by describing it a little bit. But the queue, we talked about this a little bit before in a previous episode, but the queue is part of the ride.
Right.
Like there's a point in the ride where you think you're getting on your ride vehicle, but is it just an elevator or something?
Yeah.
Because the
there's-
ride
there's a
actually
couple
starts when you get
elevators.
to the first order piece. But the beginning of the queue is like there's a whole beginning part where you're it's a normal like walking through the line, and then you get up to the front and you see a hologram of Rey, and she's telling you, all right, we're gonna do the secret mission to go infiltrate the first order or whatever.
Right.
But then once you get past Rey, it says in this one article, once you leave Rey's room, you find yourself back outside, and you're in like it's outside, but it's not visible from the rest of the park. It's not
You're
like you're
right.
outside of the ride. It's just it's a flight deck.
There's like a
resistance
resistance flight deck with people, doing stuff, and
Right.
there's ships parked there.
Right. So
I'm
this
assuming that's where we've seen aerial shots of Poe's Black Squadron X-wing. I'm assuming that's probably where that's parked.
Yes. Well, yeah. So it says here that you've got a full size Poe Dameron X-wing there. I think there might even be an A-wing there. I said in another article. But your transports, your resistance transports that you're loaded onto are there also.
And you're like, come on, let's go, load up,
Right.
type thing. So you don't. I mean, you're going through this area,
Right.
and it almost seems like from what they've described, especially once we get to the next ride with Smuggler's Run, where you're kind of in these open areas that don't feel like, again, waiting to get on a ride. Once you get to this point, it's just like, all right, you're part of the resistance. All right, let's load up on the ship, and it's
Right.
an open area without really cues, if you will.
I'm sure there'll be some sort of organization there.
Well,
probably.
yeah, and I'm sure it's going to be much like Smuggler's Run, where there's a certain amount of people, that are
Yeah.
in.
True. Yeah. True. That are allowed past Ray.
Yeah, and then it's
into
like
this-
almost like an open area, but you're guided through the open area, but
Yeah.
it doesn't feel, again, like you're getting onto a ride.
Right,
More so,
right.
like, all
There-
right, go,
yeah.
go, go.
There
type of
there are other points in here where it's like that, and then also points on Smuggler's Run where it feels like there are these staging areas where
Right.
you just turn a corner and then suddenly you're part of the story,
Right.
But I'm sure, yeah, only a certain number of people are going to get to do that. But Oscar Isaac is going to be there reprising his role as Poe. The hologram of Rey, obviously that's Daisy Ridley.
Right.
It's all the actors coming back for this. But once you get loaded onto the transport, Nien, I always say Nien Num. Is it actually Nien Num?
I think it's like some people say Nyan or Nian. It goes
whatever.
both ways. Nian.
I'm
Num.
going to say Nien Num, and
That's
then
how I've always
everybody
said
can
it,
shit
yeah.
on me.
It's like people that say AT-AT or AT-AT. It's whatever.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, Nien Num is there. He's the pilot of this transport. So he's, flying you off, and then suddenly you're stopped by several Star Destroyers.
And as we mentioned a long time ago, he's voiced by the original actor
Right.
of Nian Num, which is great. He kept saying Rotish.
Names.
Hard names, just like Alden Ehrenreich.
So you get tractor beamed by the Star Destroyer. Poe I guess Poe is escorting you.
Yeah.
So, okay. Oh, yes. So that makes sense. So you're
Yeah.
there with Poe's
So you
X-Wing.
get captured.
You're
and you
loaded on the
get-
transports. Poe flies
sucked
off
in.
with you. Yeah, you get tractor
You
beamed
get
by these.
sucked off by the First Order. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone there gets sucked off. It's weird.
It's
And then
an experience unlike any other.
right, and then you get tractor beamed in. You get off of your transport, and suddenly you're in this hangar that we've been talking about
Right,
for a
like-
while now.
Like,
And
made to feel like a full-size First Order hangar, like we saw when Poe got captured at the beginning of Force Awakens.
right,
I mean,
right.
they had some pictures of the TIE fighters up on the wall, like docked
It's
on
a
the wall.
life-size TIE fighter. Yeah, docked on the
up
wall,
on the
just
wall,
like
like it was that Poe and Finn stole.
right. And the way people are describing this, it completely blew their minds how big this was.
Right. And this is, I believe, this is the area with the hundreds of animatronic stormtroopers.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, there's going to be stormtroopers there. Some of them will be animatronic. Some of them will be stationary. There's life-size TIE fighters there. One more. I don't know. I don't know if it's just one or not.
Right.
I would hope so. But some people, one of the writers was saying, think Finn and Rose's capture in Last Jedi.
Okay.
Like
yeah.
they were comparing it to that, not
makes sense,
necessarily
yeah.
Poe's capture, but like the vastness of that hangar there.
Right.
But someone else compared it to like a high school gym size. Like this giant room.
That makes sense.
Um,
I assume there's some trick of the design to make it seem bigger than it actually is.
probably
Just as Disney does with most things they do.
right.
Um,
So
And I believe, from this area, right? So you've got captured from your resistance ship.
yeah,
And I believe you are still not. Are you still not on a ride vehicle at that point? Like the actual ride vehicle?
you're unloaded off of the
right.
resistance.
You're unloaded off of, and this is
Yeah.
where a long time ago there was talks of getting on and off ride vehicles during this ride.
Right.
And I think that's what this is, right? Is you
Right.
get into this first staging vehicle, get captured by the First Order from however that process works.
Yeah.
Then you are actually getting up, getting off, and then getting into this prisoner transport,
Right.
right? You're then carted away through the
So
Star
it's
Destroyer.
but yeah, so even before you get loaded onto their prison transports, there's a whole other queue system that you have to go through.
Well, you actually
That's
you're like
themed
put
like
in. Aren't you put into cells essentially, waiting to be transported?
I don't know if you're
I
actually
remember reading about this previously. It was probably a month ago, where I think there was some talk of like actually being like put in a holding cell on the Star Destroyer before then being loaded onto a
well,
transport to be transported away, and that's when the ride actually is the ride.
the articles do mention being put into detention cells, but I don't know if the detention cells are the ride vehicles. It could
Right,
be
yeah,
because it's
that I
groups of
don't know.
16, they say, and that sounds like a ride vehicle size.
Possibly.
But it's a the ride vehicle that you eventually get on is a trackless car. Think
Right.
like all the new Universal rides that they have now,
Right.
except instead of projection virtual stuff, this is like actual sets and stuff.
Yeah,
You're going
there was
through.
pictures of the hallway in the Star Destroyer, like this big wide hallway that
Yeah.
the ride's gonna go through, and it is a hallway in a Star Destroyer.
Yeah, exactly. It all looks incredible. Going back real quick to the hangar thing, one of the writers for one of these articles was saying it brought tears to his eyes. It was so
Right.
overwhelming. I mean, just think about
Yeah.
being in a hangar of a Star Destroyer. Just
Like,
as soon as you get
as real as it could ever be.
yeah, and not to mention after you think you've already gotten on the ride, like you're on the ride and
Right.
you're it sounds like any other ride would be where you get on and it's this virtual thing like Star Tours and you just watch whatever's
Yeah,
going on.
'cause we've never had anything like this for Star Wars.
But imagine you queue up for Star Tours, you get on the ride, you get off, and then there's a whole other part of the ride that you haven't been on yet.
Right.
Like you get off Star Tours and suddenly you're in a hangar. You know?
Yeah, and that's why and I'm assuming that's why previously the ride lengths or the like talking about this being a 20-minute quote ride
Right.
is because it's an experience, even though there's still quote like waiting times or
Right.
like holding times for the actual ride.
Even the
But it's
waiting
still an
is kind of
experience the
part
entire
of
time.
the thing. Right. So yeah, from the minute you go
Ridiculous.
in to when you finally get out, it's really long.
Yeah, and so somewhere
But-
near the end of this ride, there's the AT-ATs that we've seen, the full size like built AT-ATs.
Right. So yeah, you get on whether the detention cells or the ride or not. Eventually, you get transported or you get loaded onto a vehicle that is supposed to send you to Star Wars jail.
Yeah, space jail.
And I think it's BB-8 or something hacks your vehicle and you take
Right.
off and you escape through the Star
And that's where
Destroyer.
you eventually run into Kylo Ren
Right.
trying to stop you, and
Right.
then
And then you get to this part, like you're saying, where there are two full-size AT-AT walkers in this giant room.
yeah, another hangar.
Right. And we had heard, I don't know, did we hear about this before
We'd
now?
heard about them that they were going to shoot at your vehicle, shoot at your ride vehicle.
And we saw it in the little trailer thing that they had, right? But that was, I mean,
they
it
kept
looked,
referring to them shooting at your ride vehicle.
it looked computer animated in the, it looked
Oh,
like
yeah,
a
'cause
demo sort of thing,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But the way that these people are describing it is these AT-ATs are going to shoot at you real
Like
lasers.
just like we had heard previously that they were making real lightsabers for
Yeah.
this park, which we still haven't heard anything about that, right?
That's true, yeah.
That's something that wasn't in this data dump, and we don't have to talk about it because there's nothing to talk about. But we still haven't heard about these quote real lightsabers that were
Right.
touted at last Celebration.
Yeah.
But so we've got that, but now they're saying as real as they could make a laser blast shoot at you, they have somehow achieved it via some form of Disney magic that these things actually shoot quote lasers at you, and it looks like they're shooting lasers at you.
Right. These are real lasers being shot at you through the air that you can see.
Yeah, it's however they've done it, right? And they're not telling anyone how they do it,
right.
because it's magic.
Right.
But yeah, it's going to be as real as an AT-AT shooting at you can be. They've done it somehow.
Yeah.
Just everything about this is ridiculous.
It sounds incredible. So
Right.
that's that ride. And then as we've talked about before, the exit for that ride is kind of well, I don't know, do you remember that concept art that we saw and we were talking about before where it sounded like the exit of the ride was going to be kind of a hidden area away from everything else?
I think so.
Do you think that's the hangar part of the ride? That's not the actual exit?
The flight deck.
Yeah.
I mean, you
I'm
might be
wondering.
brought to the same flight deck, and it might just be like
I'm wondering
switching
about
off
that now.
between groups.
Yeah, I'm wondering about that now. But so yeah, that's that ride. I don't know if the exit actually is kind of disguised as we had heard or we
Right.
had talked about previously or not. But
And I mean, everything they've done, and as we start talking about Smuggler's Run, it's like you are with your group singularly through this ride, right? There's not like you don't see. It's not like the Great Movie Ride where you see all the train cars in front of you running into the alien and then running into the mobster.
oh right,
Right, like there it is the full immersion of like we are the ride vehicle, we are the people experiencing this. There's
Sure.
not a car in front of me and behind me, and we're not going to get stacked up behind them waiting for
well, I'll have to see about that because
thing to happen.
that doesn't sound plausible. Like how could they actually pull that off and not have
I
wait
mean,
times
and
be a day long?
it could be like there's groups of you that got captured type of thing. That's
Yeah.
possible. It definitely doesn't seem like that with Smuggler's Run,
No, yeah, we'll get into that.
which we could just go into that now.
So there's an actual story for why the Falcon is on Batu that
Right.
was either set up because there's this book called Pirate's Price by Lou Anders. It's a
young adult novel.
young
right?
adult novel, right? And I don't know, that was referenced in one of these articles, I think in
Okay.
the StarWars.com one, but that was like Hondo before Force Awakens.
Right.
So maybe that just sets up how Hondo knows of the Falcon and
Could be.
ends up getting it or something. I don't know exactly. But the Falcon is there to run shipments for Hondo.
Yeah.
In some capacity. I guess this is after it was stolen. I mean, it would have to be, right?
Well, no, because if the timeline of Batu is after the Last Jedi, Rey has the Falcon.
That's what I'm not clear on. Maybe Chewie ends up getting rid of it or something.
Maybe that would be so
That
sad.
sounds weird.
That would be so sad if
I know.
Chewie just gets rid of the Falcon.
Chewie never liked it.
Like we can't not see the Falcon in Episode 9, right? It can't just be
No,
gone.
yeah, we have to see it. I that's the part I'm not clear on, but they said that there's a reason the Falcon is there, and it's
On loan. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know,
Leasing it to Hondo.
and it's Hondo is the one who runs this
Smuggling operation.
I don't
Which is
know what it
definitely
is.
what
I don't know
Hondo
if
would
it's
do.
right. I don't know if it's like supposed to be a secret thing or what, or if it's
Right.
like an official shipping company or something, you know.
Right. And if you haven't seen, they did release a video of the Hondo animatronic. And if you haven't seen that, definitely look it up. But if you haven't seen, and it's a very short video, you don't really see much of him moving. But go and find the one of the Avatar animatronic that's on the new Avatar ride at Animal Kingdom, just to see how fluid their new animatronics are
Yeah,
and how freakishly lifelike their movement is.
yeah,
And that's what they're doing with Hondo. It is very realistic
Yeah.
animatronic of Hondo, and the one in Avatar World, whatever, Pandora. I mean that thing moves too real. It's scary.
it's pretty weird.
It's very weird.
It's stationary. It doesn't like
Yeah.
it's kind of hidden a little bit, like it's sitting down in one section of the ride,
Right.
but still, like you look at it and it's
The
just
joint movement,
uncanny
and
valley.
hand and finger movements are too creepy.
It's
'Cause
weird,
It's so very fluid.
right?
So that's they've done basically that, probably even better with Hondo since they've had time working on that one. Now they're increasing the abilities of these things.
Right.
The abilities.
It's funny watching the video. I could hear Jim Cummings' voice. Like there wasn't any
Oh,
sound
yeah,
in the
yeah.
video,
You just hear him doing the Hondo voice.
but yeah, you just watching the movements and seeing it.
I
like-
assume he's doing the voice for the park. There'd be no.
oh yeah,
there'd
it's
be no
it's
reason not to,
confirmed.
right?
It's
Okay.
confirmed that he is. So yeah, he'll be voicing the.
He's been doing voices for Disney for like the last 40 years.
Yeah, right.
or more.
Right. So yeah, everything that was kind of confirmed about this ride just is setting my expectations even higher. Like there were questions we had about how are you going to make it seem like you're boarding the actual
Right,
Falcon,
right.
and how are you going to, can you get up close to that, the life-size Falcon, all that.
And
So-
I mean, the life-size Falcon is a 1-1. It is a life-size Falcon. It is the Millennium Falcon.
It's 100 feet long, 25 feet high. A 1/1 scale Falcon, yeah. And you can walk up to it and walk around it and walk under it,
I'll
and
rub my body on it.
it's
But-
it's crazy.
Yeah.
So the one thing that I wanted to see explained a little more but wasn't, was like how you get from, so you walk past the Falcon into this area, and into this
Some kind of hangar or something.
hangar
right?
thing, right? But then you board the Falcon from there. That's the
Yeah.
piece.
And we always knew there was going to be, I think they said like 6 ride vehicles or 6 cockpits,
Yes.
right? So it's like, okay,
There's
there's
gonna
one,
be-
there's one
yeah.
Falcon. How are we getting into cockpits as multiple groups, 6 groups of 6 basically,
Right.
and feeling
Right.
like you're the one boarding the Falcon.
Right.
And they've confirmed exactly how that's going to work, and it's nuts to me.
So somehow, there's some in between piece where you actually board the Falcon. Not sure how that's going to work, but
Right.
this is
Your group of 6.
you're
boards
already
the
divided
Falcon.
into your group. So you have your group of 6. Yeah. Somehow you board the Falcon,
They
and
had
then
pictures of the hallways walking down the Falcon, the
Yeah.
hallway. They had the picture of the main hold with the Jarek board and
Yeah.
the couch and all of that.
your waiting area with your party of 6 is in the main hold.
Yeah, with
So
the
you-
Jarek board, with the couch, with everything. You just get to hang out in that room
Yeah.
and wait to go into the cockpit to fly.
So this is the one place where if I have to wait an hour, I will wait an hour in the main hold of the Falcon.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds incredible.
Yeah,
I don't know how much freedom you have to move around that place, but
Yeah.
Yeah, but you get to wait in.
Yeah, and then somebody had
hold.
asked, like, because you enter from there into the cockpit just like you would in the actual Falcon.
Yeah.
But that is the one entrance into the cockpits, and we know there's 6 cockpits for the ride. And someone had asked, like, how are you doing this transfer? And they wouldn't tell them.
Yeah.
But it is a seamless transfer of like, this is the cockpit. There is no other cockpit. This is the cockpit, and you're now going to get into this cockpit and be
Exactly.
the only ones here because you're the only ones waiting to get in.
Exactly. So you're on the Falcon. There's no, it's all, like you said, it's all seamless. It's all immersive. There's no separation of like, oh, I have to
Very
wait
cry.
behind this door that the Falcon doesn't really have, but now we can open
Yeah,
it.
it's
and-
not. It's not like. What am I thinking? Soren, where you're all there's 20 groups of 6 all standing in a line waiting to get on your hang glider type
Right,
thing, and
right.
you don't see everyone waiting. It is you are waiting to do this thing on the Falcon.
Right,
Just
like
you, only you, no one else.
right, like how Soren is themed like an airline company
Right.
until you open the door to actually load onto your row,
Right.
and then you see the giant mechanism that everybody's getting
yeah.
onto. Yeah, there's none of that.
Oh man.
Yeah, it sounds crazy.
I could not be any more excited to just hang out in a waiting line for a ride.
In the Falcon.
Yeah.
So that's one of the amazing parts.
All right, so we 3D print a bunch of Jarek board pieces, and we start
Yes!
playing while we wait.
Oh my gosh, that'd be great.
And everyone else that's going to ride with us, suddenly like, oh great, that's how this one's gonna go, isn't it?
Oh great, these people are
Oh,
with
it's
us.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you board the Falcon, you wait in the main hold, you get into the cockpit,
Mm-hmm.
and
You ride the ride.
okay, well, I was trying to build it up a little bit.
No, so I mean, it's the freaking cockpit. They said every button and switch actually works.
It has feedback, like
yeah,
it lights
the,
up.
The,
and-
the handle, the lever for the hyperdrive, like it has the weight to it that you would expect for it to have, because you see in the movies when they pull it back and it's this like slow, smooth movement back, like
Yeah.
it has a heavy weight to engage it, and they said that has weight to it, and every button and switch works, and
right, you have to at some point divert power to the deflector shields, like switch from you know.
and depending on what's, like they've said before, depending on what happens during the ride, if you get shot or fly into something, then some sensors are going to start going off, and you got to deal with this
Yeah.
thing because of what you did that may
Right.
not have happened otherwise.
Right,
And because there's 6 of you, they said there's 2 pilots. I mean, like the Falcon, you've got the 2 pilots up
the
front.
pilot and the co-pilot. You've got navigators. I think 2 navigators.
Right.
I'm trying
And
to pull up
then,
to make sure I've got all this right.
um,
And then 2 engineers.
And 2
I think.
engineers. So everyone has their own jobs of things they have to take care
Oh,
of.
gunners. Sorry.
Oh,
So you've,
yeah,
you've
and
got 2
gunners.
pilots, 2 gunners, and 2 engineers. Engineers take care of repairing damage
Right.
for the ship. Gunners obviously shoot stuff, and pilots fly. Engineers they said specifically that everyone will have a job to do. Like obviously you want to be the one flying the Falcon,
Right.
but they've made it, and they've made each station engaging enough to where, you know, you're not going to feel left out if you
Yeah.
end up with an engineer or gunner position.
Yeah, I wonder how they force you to make that decision because everyone's going to fight over flying it for the first time at least.
Maybe,
right?
yeah. I don't know.
I mean, I want to try all the positions, Michael. I want to do all of them
Tyler, we
in
have
one
to
day.
we have to be in every position.
Oh, this park is sex. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you get to be in the Falcon. Every freaking switch works. Depending on how you perform in the ride affects the rest of the ride, which is just like marriage. This park is
We're going to marry
this
Star
park
Wars.
is a sexual relationship that if I don't do well, things are going to go bad, and if I do better, then things aren't so bad.
And if you don't go at all, you'll regret it for the
And
rest
there's
of your
still a
life.
facade of me being involved, but it's really not in my power.
You are a part of this.
Yeah.
You're along for the ride.
There's an immersion of
You pay for
you're
everything.
part of this.
You pay for everything.
Right.
That's sexist.
I'm talking about my personal relationship.
What were we talking about?
How I love Star Wars and I'm gonna marry it.
And so yeah, you've got your thing, and you fly your mission, and
Yeah.
you know, depending on how well you do, your decisions are in real time. Like the stuff that
Yeah.
you do or don't do will affect how the ride
Yeah,
goes.
sensors and like I said before, sensors and stuff will go off depending on what happens in the ride, not just because it's scripted for it to happen at that point.
Right.
I still don't think they talked much about how it follows you. At least in this event, they didn't talk much about how it follows you out into the park like they have before.
Yeah, so they said real quick at the end here that Hondo assesses you at the end of your
Okay.
mission, and that he gives you a cut of the earnings. So I assume that cut is some kind of digital thing that gets applied to your pass.
Digital currency.
Yeah, or whatever.
Huh.
And can be used, you know, like if you strike it rich and you do a perfect delivery or
Right.
whatever it is you're doing, you know, are you then treated like royalty for the rest of the day
Free
around
blue
all the
milk.
around all the other shops?
Yeah.
I don't know. But somehow it ties into the rest of the story in the park.
Yeah. And again, with the app, I mean, I'm assuming all of this kind of stuff ties into that
Right.
personal data pad experience that you keep with you.
Right. And just like the Ride of the Resistance, the line to get into the Falcon is full of Easter eggs and little, you know, knickknacks and props and
Right.
all kinds of interesting things to, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there's stuff like people were talking about just walking around the park. Like, you know, there's droid tracks on the ground hidden in the park that were actual molds from R2D2.
Yeah. Right.
So there's just like little stuff all over the place. Obviously, with having the Arabesh too, I'm sure there's stuff hidden
Right.
for that. But just all the little things that are hidden around, you know, in the rides, I'm sure, as well as the rest of the park.
Yeah.
It's,
I mean, it's
I could just take a day just to look around and try to find stuff.
right. I don't understand how this is possible, but reading all of this, it's like all the expectations I had for this are being met
Yeah.
somehow. It's incredible. I mean, it sounds perfect. Now, everything that we've
Right.
talked about up until now has said, how can they pull this off because of all these stupid tourists that are going to be there?
I mean, that's still going to be a problem
Right.
in some capacity.
Right. But it sounds like the way that they're dividing people up and trying to
At
rotate
least for the
people
rides
out
and
and
stuff. At least for the rides, they're trying to keep it very immersive for you.
right. And
You
yeah,
can't
exactly.
do that in the shops, and you can't do that in the streets.
But there are things that follow you around. Like this is an experience
It's
for
personal, yeah.
for each person. It's yeah, it sounds like they're going to do as best of a job as can be done,
Yeah.
you know, when you're dealing with tons of people and idiots and stuff.
Right. It's like all the stuff I see online of like, you know, that picture they have, like that concept art of like the father and daughter like walking towards the Falcon.
Yeah.
And I see all the other people, like the pictures people have photoshopped of like another 500 people standing around the Falcon so you can barely see it.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's how it's gonna be for a while. But
Right.
I
Let's get
I don't need to
into
go stand in line. I don't need to even ride the rides the first time necessarily. I'm fine to just go and just look around and
yeah.
see and feel and experience everything.
Yeah.
And something I was thinking about, and my wife was asking me about. So, there's some parks now, especially like water parks, that are doing like virtual waits
Yeah.
for rides. Are there? I couldn't remember if I saw it. Are there actual queues that you have to stand in for these rides?
Yes.
Right, or would there be more of a like show up when it's time for you to be part of the ride?
I
So
can't
there's not a
imagine they
giant line?
wouldn't have something like that.
Yeah.
Because I mean there are literal queues like
Okay.
as we saw with Rise of Resistance. There are areas for you to wait in, lines for you to
Okay.
wait in before you get to the actual ride. But still, I mean you're going to have thousands of people trying to get on these rides at the same time.
Right.
So how could you?
And they already have their fast pass system, but with all the stuff they're doing with the app, I wonder why they couldn't do something of a digital waiting system, some kind of digital queue
Right.
where you check in and just like, all right, you've got 6 hours until you get to ride the ride, because that's how it's going to be, because it's still
Exactly.
like that sometimes for Toy Story stuff.
Right.
On
Exactly.
holidays, I think it was this past holiday of I can't remember what holiday it was. There was the
3 hours.
the Slinky Dog roller coaster still had like a 4-hour line,
Yeah.
just because it was a holiday
Right.
and it's new. So I mean, there's going to be stuff like that, and they're using. I mean, at least Universal is using digital queues for their newest water park.
Yeah.
That they have down here. So I don't.
And they're using
I
it
wonder
for.
why they're not using stuff like that.
They're using it for the Fast and the Furious ride too.
Okay,
They have a digital check-in system.
it's nice of you to call it a ride.
It's very generous.
It's very generous. That's not a ride. That's
it's a TV
it's
bus.
a trip. It is a literal trip on LSD.
Let's talk about the shops
Oh,
and the food.
baby.
There's a lot of good stuff here. A lot of
this
good
is
stuff.
this is another reason why I'm like, the rides sound great. I will ride them eventually, but I could just
Just walk
would
around.
just spend every penny I had at these shops.
Let's start with Doc Ondar's Antiquities.
Yeah, so they talked about the Ithorian, Doc Ondar, that owns this kind of like black market shop.
Yeah.
And she was even mentioned, I guess, or he was mentioned by Kira and Solo.
Kira said there was some passing line where she mentioned his name.
Okay.
Yeah, and he might have even been
Which
there.
would make sense with Voss having all those antiquities in that room.
Right.
all
I think he might have even been there on Voss's ship.
maybe.
But I can't remember now. But he was at least mentioned in passing by Kira.
So, like we said before, first off, every shop that's going to be in this park, again, is not branded Star Wars items. It's not like you're going to buy the Star Wars Nerf gun or a Star Wars branded lightsaber.
Right.
Or a Disney plush. You're not going to find a Mickey plush toy
Right.
that says Disney on it. These shops sell things that you would expect to buy
in a shop
in
Star Wars.
in the universe to an extent. Obviously, there's still the suspension of suspending disbelief. But so this shop specifically is like rare, quote Star Wars, rare items from the universe with collectibles and just like almost like props, like replicas of famous lightsabers.
Right.
They mentioned stuff like that, like replica hilts. Like he sells like these rare replica hilts of certain famous Jedi or Sith lightsabers.
Right.
Which could just be the Force effects remade to a for something like this. But they had these pictures of stuff. Like there's this bust of Darth Maul.
Yeah.
This like almost, it's not granite. It's like this like black, almost like black stone looking like bust of Darth Maul that's like kind of chipped and messy looking, but it's this from some statue or something of Darth Maul that he's selling this bust of.
Right. And so think like old texts, old books. Think like holocrons.
like actually texting someone an old text. There's a printout of Luke's texts to Leia for her birthday
3 years ago. Think like holocrons. They're gonna sell. It's gonna sell Sith and Jedi holocrons.
I saw in the photo. There's like a kyber crystal that still has like rock and dirt on the ends. Like it's not fully like
unrefined
kyber,
like
not refined.
Right.
And
it was red too. It was red, which means it's been bled.
Right.
Which is pretty interesting.
And there was just clear. There was other busts of like other people with hoods on and just like stuff that I don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
because it is just like this stuff from the universe that is going to be sold in the shop that it's just something that some of them may not have a purpose
Right.
other than this is just some from some temple of some thing,
Yeah.
and it's just pieces of quote history for
Right.
Star Wars,
Right.
which I want to buy one of all of the things
And
in that
yeah,
store.
yeah, and one of the coolest things I saw was there's going to be a life-size Doc Ondar animatronic in the store in the first floor. So there's two stories, right? The first story is all of the stuff that's being sold, and he's down there and is actually going to move around the shop, and you could go up to a cast member and
Mhm.
they'll negotiate prices, negotiate quote unquote
Yeah.
prices. Yeah, I mean, you can't talk down, your $80 item to $20.
Right, yeah, yeah.
But he'll, you can go up and haggle with him and interact with him a little bit, take pictures or whatever.
Right.
But he's a life-size Ithorian that's going to be moving around the shop. I thought that was
and
pretty
able
cool.
to communicate with you.
Somebody, I don't know if it's you directly or with cast members. I don't know, but
maybe because someone may be translating if he doesn't speak basic
Right.
or common. I don't
well,
know.
yeah, you know how that Ithorian language is kind of like it's that weird,
Yeah.
like 3D oral kind of sound.
Hmm.
You know how Ithorians give you oral?
Yeah, but I mean, there's like photos of like the entrance to the shop. That's just like this, kind of this archway into this dark area.
Yeah, right.
Back into the shop, and there's, all these, there's just stuff. In
It's
there.
it's this room that's packed full of just props and things. So that's all the stuff that's sold that you can buy is on the first story.
Yeah.
The second story is all props, Easter eggs, things that aren't for sale, just decorations, just to look at.
Collection room.
Right. And I think it was this shop that's going to have. There's a life-size Wampa, a taxidermied.
Yeah,
Wampa.
full size was a 12 foot tall.
Yeah.
I think is what it was, like taxidermied
Where
stuffed Wampa.
They were describing it, and they said they went and actually matched fur from the original props from the movie. And there was a hint at look for blade burns on one of the arms because there's a.
That's awesome.
This could be the same Wampa that Luke saw on Hoth.
Yeah, so I'm like actually pulling up the pictures of
funny.
stuff in the shop. Like there's the Sith and Jedi holocrons, and then there's like these almost like these urns of like these people.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if they're Sith or otherwise, almost like urns.
Right.
There's that kyber crystal. There's a text. There's some like big Sith temple relic like thing. It's just everything. There's busts, like little like bronze busts of Jedi.
Yeah.
And like little statues and like little stone artwork, like slabs from like some Jedi temple somewhere of Jedis.
It looks incredible.
It's so cool.
I think that's going to be one of the coolest shops to walk around.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be broke. I'd be so broke.
I know. So let's move on. So that's Doc Ondor's Den of Antiquities. It's called.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Savvy's Workshop.
Oh.
So
shit.
this sounds absolutely incredible. So this is an experience that 13 people. It sounds like that you'll have to sign up for ahead of time.
Probably.
This isn't, from what it sounds like at least, this isn't a shop you can just walk into.
Yeah.
So it says it's an experience for 13 people, and it's comparable to. These are our words to like the wand experience at Harry Potter Land.
Yeah. So at Hamtown.
You forgot your own name that you came up with. Hamsville.
Beef World. There's there's whole like
You switched animals.
It's whatever. There's this wand experience where you have to, that sounds bad. There's a wand experience where you have the
sword fight.
Yeah, where you have your whole like wand choosing you type thing and going through the process of finding your quote wand. And there's this whole thing.
Euphemism.
Yeah.
You know how when you go through a process to find your wand?
When you're 13 and you have your wand finding experience.
You find your wand for the first time.
And it chooses
and then you use it
more than you chose it, but you got to get to know it. And then
it has its quirks.
It works for you.
It has its quirks.
Yeah,
but then you become its master.
It may be knobbly and crooked, but you know,
It's yours.
it's still powerful in your own eyes. So similar to that, that whatever that was, of this wand finding experience, experience at Ham's Beef. At at Savvy's workshop, it's right now at Disney Springs and even at Hollywood Studios, they have a lightsaber building like place where you
The
can go and-
Hasbro Blade Builder.
yeah, where you can go and build a lightsaber, but it's all these plastic pieces and the
It's still
extendable
fun.
the extendable blades that like collapse the telescope down into themselves.
Right.
So
But
it's
your
very,
typical
very much a
plastic
Hasbro
lightsaber.
toy lightsaber.
Yeah.
This is going to be for 13 people where you sign up for a build session. You choose different like lightsaber personas.
Yeah, so the way it was described, it was like the collector Savvy he's not affiliated with the Jedi or Sith, and he's not even like a Force sensitive kind of person.
Right.
But he's collected all of these pieces and he's studied history,
Yeah.
Jedi and Sith history and
So you can
lightsaber
choose, like,
history.
so you go in and you choose like power or justice or whatever, and then from whatever you choose, you are then provided, I think it's like 10 or 12 pieces,
Something
so
like
that you can then choose from those pieces to build your saber.
Right.
What I wonder if you actually get to keep all the pieces so you can rebuild it, or if like what your final build is it, and then the other pieces are carted off,
Like if it's a modular thing, like
like the Blade Builders, or if it's
yeah, I
like
don't know.
you make it and you're done. But again, the ones we have so far, these Hasbro Blade Builders, but the pictures of these things these are metal.
Yeah.
These are real metal lightsaber hilts.
So think of the customization that's available with Blade Builders, but now there's a reason behind the pieces. Now there's a story behind it. Now
Yeah.
they're
And
all
it's
the
the quality of like the
quality is way higher.
the really good. I mean, it's even looks nicer than the Force Effects Black Series ones that are
Yeah.
like heavy metal. Like these are shiny chromed like metal
Right.
hilts. From the pictures they had, like these things look like a hilt that you would just buy off of a shelf.
Yeah.
Um,
And so there are hilt options from what they were saying, and
Yep.
then you can add a blade to it.
and I'm
for an
assuming the
extra
blade
price.
would probably be like the Force Effects blades.
Yeah,
Because
the
I mean, there has to be obviously there still has to be a suspension of disbelief.
where you're
like, you
buying the
can't,
blade.
Right. These things aren't going to light up a beam of energy that can kill anyone. Unless these are the lightsabers that are real, like they talked about.
Oh boy.
No, they're not going to give those to anyone that
No.
comes into the park. But I mean, so I think the hilts were like $110, something like that, and I think
Yeah.
the blades were $50.
Something like that.
Which,
So comparable
a-
to Force Effects prices.
yeah, for if you think about like the Kylo Ren Force Effects lightsaber, that's about I think that was 120, 140.
Maybe a little bit more. I think the Mace
Maybe
Windu
more.
one's going for like 160 or 80 right
So
now.
I mean, and they had those at the park currently, and they're nice and metal, and the Kylo Ren
Yeah.
one was really cool. But you get to make your own personalized lightsaber hilt based off of what I don't know, power you choose, whatever theme you choose for your lightsaber, and then you have
Right.
multiple pieces within that theme to then choose from to build your lightsaber. So you could do this 10 times and have a different thing every time.
Right.
Because I think there was like 6 or it was like 4 or 5 different mixtures to choose from.
Yeah.
Which is nuts. And
You know what's going to be
I
interesting?
want one of each.
You know what's going to be interesting? I just thought of is the characters. There are specific characters that are humans, like Savvy here. He's a human, I think,
Right.
a human male. Those have to be played by somebody. It's got to be somebody different, right?
I assume.
Like
yeah.
you're
So
not
if
going
you
to
do it again, it's not gonna be. It might be a different savvy.
right.
Yeah.
That's
There's.
I'm
still
wondering. I'm wondering
again,
about that kind of
There's a
stuff.
suspension of disbelief too.
I guess
It will
so.
always be probably the same type of person, just like they have the same type of person that plays certain princesses or princes.
Yeah, right.
Um.
I guess so. They'll be in
yeah.
enough costume to where you won't be able to tell it's a completely different person. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
If you even
it's always
remember.
some person in a fat suit with like face prosthesis on that you can't tell.
Oh, I just realized this is like going into some Disney ride with a princess and be like, "You're not actually.
Right. Yeah.
You're not Santa.
You're now a 4-year-old girl complaining about this man that owns a lightsaber building shop.
You're not Santa. Santa's in the North Pole. Why are you here?"
Oh, Christmas! Oh, that's the explanation.
I'm a Christmas hoe. Is that what you said?
Yes, that's what Santa says, and then he
I'm a Christmas
rips
hoe.
off his snap-off pants, and he's got little tiny shorts on, and he starts dancing.
Santa.
Yeah. So I mean, this blade building workshop, whatever it is. I mean, it sounds, and from the pictures, it looks amazing.
Yeah.
What you build from these things.
Right.
Not to mention you can buy other hilts from like Doc Ondar's, right? That are from the films, but for these, they look real, almost like those. I'm trying to like Saber Forge online, I think is what it's called.
Yeah,
You can get like nice, high quality metal saber hilts that are off brand, right? They're not actual
Right.
Jedi's hilt. Some of them are similar. Some of them are just ones they made that look cool, right?
Right. So this is
But
a
now
Saber
you can make
Forge
something like that, but
in
very, very
person.
personalized.
Yeah.
Which is, I want one of all of them.
Yeah. It
It's
sounds
ridiculous.
incredible.
All right, moving on.
There's another. So some of these shops, after Doc Ondar's and everything, I was so excited I forgot to put a bunch of notes for the other shops.
Mubo's Droid Depot
But-
actually is really cool.
I was gonna say there's a backstory to every shop owner
Right. there
that they
is.
have and was discussed. We're running out of time a little
Right.
bit here too. So
So there's Mubo's Droid Depot, which is it sells custom made basically RC droids, remote control, ball droids. There's R2 units, there's R5s,
Yeah.
and there's even DJ, the guy that used to be the pilot of Star Tours Ride,
oh yeah,
and who's now going to be the DJ at the Cantina.
right.
They just have like a pre-made one of him.
Rex.
DJ is it R something? I think it's Rex, but it goes
Oh.
DJ dash
Oh okay.
maybe Rex. I don't know.
What was cool about this was it's going to be a giant conveyor belt basically that
Grab parts
scrolls
off of.
past these bins. So
Yeah.
you go on your conveyor belt with your droid and you grab pieces from bins and build it as you go around this big
Yeah, and it made me think
centerpiece.
about Cloud City with the Ugnaughts, with
Yeah,
all the
exactly.
shitty pieces and parts
Yeah.
like going into the fire on a conveyor belt.
Right.
It made me think of that.
Right. So yeah, this is just a general shop. It's not something like
Right.
the Blade Builder thing where
And
it's
I mean,
an
they have pre-built
experience.
R2D2s and R5s, R5D4s, and
Right.
BB8s, and the I forget what the First Order droid is. Like they have pre-builts of all the droids you know and love that you
Oh,
can get that are
right.
remote controllable, and the DJ one, which I will 100% buy a DJ. But then you can, other than that, you can make a total custom R2 unit or R5 unit or
Yeah.
ball droid, and just make with whatever colors you wanted to make it with, whatever
Right,
mixture, and then
right.
after that, it's just a remote control droid.
Right.
That I think it even said like it can interact with stuff in the park too, or
Really?
other droids. I can't remember where I saw that listed.
That would be pretty
But
cool.
somebody talked about it like interacting with the other droids or with certain things in the park.
We should
Which I
also
just imagine
say-
I'm going to crush so many people's little droids walking around because I'm going to be looking up at stuff and I'm just going to like punt a droid across the way.
Yeah, so this is not life size.
No,
one
they're
to
they're
one
like the
scale
Sphero
of
droids, aren't they?
Right.
About that size.
That's what I'm thinking.
I think they might be a little bit bigger than Sphero droids, maybe like twice that size. Because the Sphero ones are almost
So not
like
even like 12 inches tall, probably like
5,
maybe. I don't know.
something like that. They're not
Not life
giant.
size.
They're miniature
Not
droids.
life
No, they're
size,
not
though.
selling BB-8 life size art. People are just like riding them around the park. No one is on like the fat people aren't on scooters anymore. They're riding around on top of an R2 unit.
Right. So that's that, and then we got Bina's Creature Stall. This sounded more of like a kind of just a pop up sort of thing.
Yeah, it's like
But
a
they
pet shop.
It sells little. I don't know if they're supposed to be stuffed animals.
They're supposed to
in
be
universe.
quote real in universe, but they are stuffed animals.
Oh, they're supposed to-
essentially.
okay.
I think it's supposed to be like this is a rare pet shop, and there's like baby wampas, and they even have those like frog creatures that Jabba was eating.
Oh,
whatever
okay,
those are.
right. So it's a bunch of little stuffed animals.
Yeah, there's like little tauntauns, like
Nice.
miniature tauntauns, and like all kinds of different creatures from Star Wars that they sell that are basically stuffed animals. But
Nice.
there's some of them like there's never been a thing of that available for people to purchase.
Right.
Like
right.
the frog things that Jabba eats. Like
right.
who cared? But I'm probably gonna get one.
Right.
I'm gonna have a bowl of them sitting by my office chair.
You'll be
no
eating
reason.
them. But yeah, that's what's great about this is it's still in universe. It's not like a stuffed animal version of, it's still supposed to be like
Yeah,
a
and
shop that you go to and
Yeah,
buy.
it's not like
pets,
a fancy stuffed animal version of a wampa, a small, I don't know if it's a baby wampa or what it is, but it like looked like rough and scraggly and like it wasn't like nice. Like
Well,
you'd
yeah, I
buy.
mean, it's obviously it is just a stuffed animal, but
Right,
at the
but
same
they
time,
make them look
there's
an
a
extent. cooler.
there's some thought behind it, you know.
Right.
So that's that. There's a toy shop run by Zabaka, the Toydarian.
Yeah.
And again, same with in-universe kind of thing. These are toys that would exist in the universe of Star Wars.
Yeah, so they had pictures of this one of dolls of like stormtroopers.
Yeah.
And the dimensions of the stormtrooper and like the way it's shaped is kind of off.
Right.
Right. It looks like a child or somebody made it based off of knowing what a stormtrooper like
A child
looks like.
slave. Yes, of course.
Yeah,
This is a
well,
Toydarian.
Yeah, right.
And they had like
just no comments. There's too many bad comments involved in child slavery, and then the Toydarians being basically
okay.
yeah. Anyways, there's just so
George
much.
Lucas.
George
George
did a number on that whole situation. But there's even like here there's Finns and Rays and Kylo Rens, and all of them are like haphazardly made. Like they don't look just exactly like the characters do. They don't look super extremely nice. They're nice, but they still look like a kid's doll. Almost, it reminds me of the thing that Jen had in Rogue One at the beginning of the little stormtrooper doll.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Like it reminds me of stuff like that, where it's very, it's made to look in universe and worn and not super fresh off the conveyor belt at Disney's, factory.
Right. Right.
Which is again just cool. And again, this is the place where it's supposed to sell, like you said, unique toys, where it's just gonna have just this space shit. It's just gonna have space toys with random whatever space stuff.
Right.
It's not gonna be Star Wars or Disney branded. You're not gonna go in here and find a Mickey Roadster Racer dressed as Luke Skywalker.
Right. Right.
So
so there's things like musical instruments, like the little what was the space jizz?
Are you talking about a jizz flute?
Yeah.
That's the only term I can think of is a jizz flute.
There's a jizz flute here.
Well, I've never been to Disney and experienced the
been
jizz
able
flute
to
before.
openly blow my jizz flute.
First, we're finding our wands, and now
we're blowing our jizz flutes.
Experiencing jizz flutes.
So there's gonna be jizz flutes.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go to Galaxy's Edge, and I'm going to ask every.
Where can I find every
jizz worker? Flute? I'm gonna ask every worker. Now, do you know of anyone that sells a jizz flute? Because I'm looking for a jizz flute. I'm trying to start a band, and I really need a jizz flute. No, you're arresting me. Okay, I'll leave. Nope, I'm never allowed to come back.
You're
Got it.
talking to the cops on the way out. You're still in.
Officer, I was looking for a jizz suit. Just flute. No, either one. I need a suit for my band because we're all gonna match. It's gonna be fantastic.
Jizz, it just has to be jizz.
Anything jizz related. Jizz flutes, jizz horns. If I could buy a jizz flute, I'm buying one.
Okay.
just to have it, and people to be like, "Hey, what's that thing? What's that weird thing in your office?" Well, that in fact
my son,
is a one of a kind jizz flute. Would you like
to place your lips on it?
Would you like to try it out? No, we're not
Make
friends
sure
anymore?
you blow hard, so the jizz will come out.
No, that jizz is all wrong.
Okay, that's enough about that. There's some other things, but
that's what it's called. George decided to call space jazz jizz, and we're stuck with that. And it's perfectly fine for us to use that term in a park with children and adults shopping until they kick us out.
Next, we got Black Spire Outfitters. This sounds like a boutique. It's a clothing boutique.
Yeah,
they're gonna sell things like Jedi robes.
Yeah, they'll have
Resistance
robes,
First Order gear,
Jedi robes, Sith robes, and various other quote costumes. I think they have. There's specifically. And I don't know if it's specifically this place. I think they mentioned specific places having like First Order gear and another place having Resistance gear, like not all in the same place. Possibly, I don't know if it's.
Okay, I don't know if that was here or not, but
there's various outfitters, and maybe they're all part of Black Spire Outfitters, right?
Yeah.
Where there's one place that's going to have like resistance costume type stuff
Right.
where you can buy resistance clothing items, and there's one that's going to be first order where you can buy like you can basically buy a first order like officer's uniform.
Right.
And then you've got the one with robes and stuff like that. That's for the Jedi and Sith,
Right.
which yeah, I'm going to spend all of my money at every shop in this park. I'm going to be walking out holding a lightsaber, wearing a robe with a first order hat on, and like a resistance belt. I'm going to have a wampa in one arm and a jizz flute in the other. It's
gonna be sad.
it's going to be real bad. I'm fine with that. That will be my life choice to make, and realize that I made the right choice.
So then, yeah, let's talk real quick about the food, some of the food that's going to be there. I'm trying to look up as we're talking. So there's I'll see if I can find the name of it, but there's a meat shop where the meat is all grilled on an upright standing pod racer engine.
Yeah.
So there's a pod racer engine hanging in the middle of the room that's shooting, its jet is shooting onto this big grill.
It's cancer grilled meat.
Right. This is all radiated.
Yeah, it's
irradiated meat.
If you don't glow when you're done, you're not eating enough. No, but it's like kebabs and stuff like that. Like it's various meat cubes.
I'll see if I can find the name of it. But...
there was one place that had like this. It basically looked like Yoda's fish sticks, like the fish sticks that Yoda was eating from Luke on Dagobah.
Yeah.
There was like a dish that had like this fish stick thing that looked kind of like that, which was pretty funny.
Yoda's fish sticks?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
There's all other kinds of, food that basically they said, when you look at it, you can't really tell maybe what it is or what it's supposed to be, but that it still tastes amazing. But they've tried to make it look like something again that would be in universe that you'd be able to find and eat.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So they had that with the food, the fish stick type thing. Then they have, of course, there's the cantina, Oga's Cantina. That's where DJ or Rex is going to be the DJ for. And I think they said it's like a 3-hour randomized loop of music. So like, it's never really going to be the same thing that you're going to hear.
Right.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And they'll have blue milk, green milk, and other alcohol.
Ronto
beverages.
Roasters was the pod
yeah.
racer engine thing. Yeah.
They'll have other drinks, alcoholic and non-alcoholic. And, the blue milk and green milk's not actually milk. It's some other type slushy drink thing. But all of the drinks and food look really super cool.
Yeah, they look pretty good. I like the idea of having both non-alcoholic and alcoholic beverages. So you can still go into a real cantina, quote unquote, and order an alcoholic beverage from a cantina. Yeah. And
they even mentioned, so in Thrawn's Thrawn Alliances, Padme goes to Black Spire
and orders Andoan wine.
Yeah, she orders an
Andoan white wine. And that's on the menu.
And that's like her order. The drink she ordered is on the menu.
Yeah.
Maybe because she's the one that came there and ordered it.
Yeah.
Type thing. Like they added it because like royalty came and purchased this drink.
Again, all in universe. Like stuff in Star Wars has an impact on the place that you're at. It's crazy.
There's this stuff that's wrapped into it, even at the level of drinks, right?
Right.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
Oh man. And then of course we mentioned the stuff with the app already. So just if you haven't gone through and looked at any of these articles about it, do it and just prepare to weep with sadness at how cool this thing's going to be.
And weep with sadness how you won't be able to get in at all
for a long time.
A very long time.
Right.
But again, like I was saying earlier, the fact that they're going to be incorporating new story elements and stuff like this and making it an experience that you can return to and have a new this thing you can return to and have new experiences at and new memories and stuff. It sounds cool. It doesn't sound like this, new ride that's going to be just static and the same thing every time you go to it. It's going to be this kind of organic place.
So, question. They are 100% going to have it decorated for Life Day around Christmas, right?
Oh, man, that's a good point.
Like, it has to be.
That would be great.
This will be my one time of accepting Life Day, and recognizing its existence past the Christmas special. But I mean that they have to celebrate Life Day there, right? Like that's going to be a thing they're going to do.
It's got to be.
Yeah, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna
That's a
get
good point, though.
whatever Life Day paraphernalia.
Be walking out again with your
I'll have like some Life Day
your
daisy
weird
chain
purple
on my head and
weird
my Life Day
purple
like my
sparkly dress.
my white Life Day robes. I'm gonna look like I just joined some cult. Like I just married the cult leader. This is what I'm gonna look like when I leave from Life Day.
That's practically what we've done by
Yeah, that's
by starting this podcast.
marrying
Married
cult
the
leader.
cult leader.
Is that the new podcast name?
We've married the co-leader. Real quick too, we talked about the tie-ins to episode 9. There's apparently a new type of TIE fighter that is supposedly going to be there, the TIE Echelon.
There are pictures of this TIE fighter, and it's like this massive battle TIE.
Yeah, almost like a cargo kind of TIE.
Almost
Is what it looked like to me.
Yeah, the nose of it reminds me of the like the nose of the dropship in Force Awakens when they land on when the First Order comes down on Jakku. It kind of reminds me of like that
Kylo Ren's ship.
I guess kind of like Kylo Ren's.
It
kind of has that. It kind of has like that bent nose in the front, but it's
yeah.
bigger, like the troop transport. But then it has
like a
the,
Lambda shuttle almost.
Almost like a Lambda shuttle, and then it has like the big wings. That almost
the
look
arched
like,
wings, like the TIE Advanced,
like the TIE Advanced, or even like
or Kylo
Darth
Ren's.
Vader's or Kylo Ren's, where they're like bent.
Excuse me, the TIE
angles.
Advanced is Darth Vader's TIE fighter.
Well, whatever. The and what's the other ones? What's the one that Thrawn created?
Oh, the Defender.
The Defender. I think those have wings like that as well.
Yeah. TIE Interceptor, another one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
like this thicker,
new type
bigger.
It's thick. He's a big boy.
It's a thick TIE.
He's a large son.
And we're assuming that's going to be in episode 9 because there's a photo of one at the park. So it'll probably be somewhere in episode 9.
Yeah,
where we'll see it floating a boot.
Yep. So that's that. Hour and 20 minutes later.
My body. Yeah,
it really does sound. It sounds incredible. I mean,
yeah, everything about it sounds freaking amazing, and they put so much effort into it to make it seem like you're there.
Yeah,
and every time anyone says something amazing about it, I'm like, how is it ever going to be possible? And then people are like, yeah, it's totally possible. And I'm like, what the shit?
How?
There's no way. You're mad.
You bitch.
And yeah, it's other than the other hundreds of people that are going to be wandering around acting like me, like a giant idiot, trying to staring at the sky, running into everything. And that's that. I'm sure I will ignore them just as much as I do at Magic Kingdom because I love how it feels to be there. I love everything about Disney and seeing stuff, and then this is like Disney Star Wars like layered where it's
Disney's
so
commitment to
good.
detail, it's immersiveness,
right?
All the interaction stuff you can do, and now Star Wars on top of that.
Yeah,
like being in that universe. Yeah,
it's like when I go to Magic Kingdom, as much as I've ever been to Magic Kingdom, I still am like, yeah, I'm at Disney, even though there's hundreds of people there. And you got to weed through them. I'm still excited to be there and look at the things and see the things. And you don't pay as much attention to the people until you're in line with them. So I expect that'll be my same reaction here. It's just like, holy shit, this wall. Look at this wall. It's got a squiggle. I'm going to lick the squiggle. Oh, that squiggle was Star Wars.
Quick, give me my flute.
Quick, someone play some jizz. That's me dancing.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. The only thing that drives me crazy is trying to move anywhere at Disney because people just do that thing where they stop and
they stop.
You're walking,
doing magical
flow.
180 where they're suddenly just heading the opposite direction into you for no reason. Yeah,
you're in the flow of people, and suddenly someone in the flow just stops and just stands
stops
there.
Dead, turns directly around, and walks forward without ever thinking that anyone else was there. Yeah, that's a thing that happens constantly.
Yes,
but that's fine. Oh.
So we'll see. I'm sure we'll get some more details on like opening dates and ticket prices and
supposed to happen soon.
Virtual wait times and or virtual queues, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And I wonder if they'll do. I assume they'll still have to do like fast pass type stuff somehow.
I would imagine if they are going to do that, they're going to have to open that up pretty early.
Yeah.
And that's just going to fill up super fast. I'm
Right.
sure.
Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna work. Oh well.
We'll
yeah.
try to get into like a preview night or something.
Yeah, good luck with
We'll
that.
climb the gate.
Yeah, we'll get in early so that we can never return.
Excuse me, we are journalists.
Can you tell me where to find the jizz flutes?
Excuse me, we are jizz journalists.
Oh no. Oh, yeah. If you haven't looked at any of the articles, go find any article about it so that you can just see the pictures, like the photos of the lightsabers and the merchandise and stuff like that they released, because it all looks so cool and the words don't do justice to how cool and real everything looks.
Yeah,
So do that.
do it.
And I think we've talked for
A long time.
far long enough, but there's so much interesting, fantastic stuff that is magical that was happening that we had to.
So we'll talk next episode about
Probably nothing.
how Anthony Daniels is an idiot, and the final reveal for what he was teasing this whole time is just really a big letdown
Yeah.
and was nothing at all.
Right. Yeah, so that's it for episode 91. If you enjoy listening to us, please go on iTunes or wherever you can rate these things and do that.
And
The
that's
end.
it.
If you really want to
Yeah,
talk
give
to
us a review, please.
Yeah.
I mean,
and if you want to reach out to us, you can
mean,
hit us
why
up on
not?
Twitter at Hokey_religion. You can find us on Facebook, but who cares? And you can also get to us via email at asklobot@hokeyreligion.com. You can find all of our episodes at hokeyreligion.com. And if for some reason you super enjoy the show and want to fund all of my lightsaber purchases, you can go to patreon.com/hokeyreligion and support us financially with any sort of monetary value of $1 or greater.
we'll see if we can get into this park. We'll open up a tier on Patreon, and we'll release some video episodes or something of us being in the park,
Wandering around, licking the squiggles on the walls. Yeah.
buying our jizz flutes,
Asking for jizz flutes.
blowing them in people's faces.
Ha! Jizz!
Now let me get my flute.
Excuse me. Oh, yeah. So, again, patreon.com/hokeyreligion. I think that's it.
That's it for episode 91. Thank you for listening.
This is Tyler.
This is Michael.
Goodbye.
Hokey religion is an ancient weapon. Hokey religion is an ancient weapon for no match for a good blaster at your side.